I think this is what's, at least it was a key question when we interviewed you. It's service. And we care. We care about humanity, we care about people, we care about the planet. For that to happen, a whole reshuffling of values, attitudes, organizations have got to be shifted. You are those values, those organizations, and those people. You will be influencers in one way or another. Even if it's only with your children at first, that is a future. If it is through your voice, if it is through your works, if it is through the organization that you had, your business, whatever it might be, and this is what we're preparing for. This is why you have been selected. But it begins again, and this is what's so many times repeated in the book, this begins with you. Not just something you change, but it's a radical change from inside. And it starts with the way you perceive reality. Now, we are a body and a personality and identity. And I think there's nobody here who knows that we are not really that identity. But to know it and to act it is entirely different. It's like, yeah, I know that. It's another fact that we kind of file in our filing system. But to act it means, if I am not my personality, if I am not this body, what am I? What am I? What runs this body and this personality? And this is perhaps the one question that led me all my life to create this system. What is this what? It's not even a who. It's a what is it inside of me that created, contributes to, sustains this identity in the world. Parentheses. This identity in the world is extremely important. We don't want to change you. We love you. We appreciate you and all the structure that you've created. What we want to do is fish out, purify, refine those parts of the personality that are detrimental to you to begin with, that sabotage you to begin with, the fears. When you might get offended, remember that there's two aspects of yourself that we're working on in this training. The personality, identity, self, which has been forged throughout your history. It began even before you left your mother's womb, by the heritage that you carry, by the cells that went into constructing your body. All the history of your lineage is impressed upon you. Now, this is not something for our conscious awareness, our linear intelligence, to know about, but it's there. And they're very, very strong influences. I don't know if there's times when you've thought, oh my God, I look or sound just like my mother or my father or whatever, you know, with whom you probably have had a difficult relationship. It's all there. It's in the flesh, in the memory of the race. You carry all of your ancestors with you. And every time one individual human being is made conscious, everything from the past is also made conscious within them. And it contributes towards the future. But we are not just flesh and genes, an ancestral race. We are a very unique intelligence. Consciousness, let's say, even though consciousness is such a broad term. And this unique intelligence has had many, many experiences which you're not in touch with right now. You may be, some of you, with one or two, whatever it is. I saw some of you as incredibly glorious people, all of you, in different ways. And so all of you are here in this body, and also in the memory, those imprints of the experiences you've had that are contributing to who you are today. All of that is embodied in the flesh. So when you embody, when you incarnate, you bring that in the subliminal level into the history of your family, and you're conditioned by that. So we're working on that conditioning and bringing out, so that when we diminish or we bring to awareness the conditioning under which you work on, and you call it yourself, I think, I like. When we work on diminishing the hold of that and clearing your awareness of your likes and dislikes and tendencies, you will begin to contact much more that state of being, which is what you are. And this is where the difficulty comes in, because you can't call it a something. I am not something defined. I am a state of being. I am. And you, each I am that I'm speaking with, is a very broad frequency of vibrations that has been through many different experiences. It has created a soul, and that's all filed into that soul that is in contact with you. It can be in contact with you only to the measure that your personal identity, personality, linear mind is cleared. If it is so busy with what you think you want, with who you think you are, with your likes and dislikes, with all the things, even your talents that you have, for your profession, in your life, when all of that is put aside, and believe me, you do not lose any of it, because you will come right back to it. And this is why you're here, to come right back to all that you have learned, but consciously. Not because you're helpless before it, and because you have no other choice than to react fearfully or to close off. You're very aware, and last night I called attention to that, of how many times you closed off just in a single meeting, eye to eye with your brothers and sisters. How many times you closed off, how many devices we have, how many shutters we have from that simple presence, that look, that heart state of being. Because what you touched upon that frightened you, some, is your authentic self, capital S, your state of being. And that's why it cannot be defined, because what looks for definition is the concrete mind, is here, down here, third dimension. I am such a way, I need to follow certain rules. So you will find here that there are, of course there are rules, house rules, or work rules, or etiquette and so on and so forth, but the rules are basically coming from a place inside of you that is right. You know what is right. And this is what we appeal to. And this is what we hope through you to appeal to the world, society at large, everyone you come in contact with. Because when you leave here, you'll be a little electromagnetic magnet, that goes out there, and you will give off sparks. You'll give off sparks of light, unbeknownst to you. So you will begin very gently, very softly, imperceptibly, to change the world. The world around you will change. You will see when you get home, or even contact, it could even happen right now, that your world back there has changed. And why is that? Did it change all by itself? No. You have lines of force. When I refer to your world, I don't just mean your immediate thought of the world, your immediate conception of the world. I'm referring to everyone that is connected to you through lines of force, very subtle, etheric lines of force. You change, that's going to change. everything, the whole configuration of your world will very gently begin to change. People will start relating to you in a different way. And that's not always pleasant, because they don't want to lose the control they had over you, or the predictability of how you have been. Most people, us included, want things to just go on the same way they've gone. It's very easy and comfortable. But life isn't like that. And I think you all know that for being here. This is not a comfort zone at all, even though we want to make you comfortable in a different way. Reality is in a constant flow of energy. And you're going to learn a very precious and important balancing act. You're all going to be tightrope walkers. Artful. Beautiful, graceful. Knowing that you are not this, and yet you live this. You enhance this. So we have this secret compartment, which is our subjective self inside, that is thinking and evaluating everything. It's a mechanism of survival, of defense, of calculation, of success, or whatever you want to call it. But these thoughts are not normally heard, seen, or affect other people. They do us, and they do affect other people. All of us here, everybody. And this is going to be, we're just beginning. This is really going to be a place that is going to be representative of ecological living, and that means inside and outside. We're only starting to implement all of this. But this is the ecological living inside that we're talking about, this training. The kinds of thoughts that you have, and they're so automatic. Year after year after year, we have had this secret inner commentary about life, about protecting ourselves, about living in a hostile world, whether we consider it really hostile or just uncomfortable, and we want to change it. So this is impressed on the atmosphere around it. It's what will qualify this entire room, so that you know what you're putting out, so that we begin to clean what we put out with our minds, and most of all with our emotions. Now there's many of you who will feel that you're not emotional. I think last night you kind of broke that barrier, but that you're not the emotional kind. You know, emotions don't sway you very much. I guarantee you they do. So they are the ones that qualify the thoughts. We'll give them quality. We'll impel them forward. So we're constantly bombarding one another, quite often, luckily, with loving thoughts, with considerate thoughts, but also with manipulative thoughts. We're not aware of how we manipulate people. You're only aware of this much, not that much. How all our loves are conditioned by something we want, and how we want it. And this is totally automatic. So it's bringing consciousness, bringing awareness to this constant barrage of emotional energy that you put out. And that others, you will probably perceive it much more easily, that others put out on you when you feel comfortable or uncomfortable. You don't want to sit next to somebody. Their aura is giving off spikes, or it's giving off this gluey, you know, chupetes, how do you call those? Sucking things, you know. Leeching, yeah, that kind of leeching activity. This is happening all the time, and it's the way we administer our energies that creates this. You're all familiar with the salesman syndrome. It's like a machine, like of thoughts. Sometimes you just, hey, wait a minute. So many, many, many little things that will happen when you learn to manage your instrument. And this instrument is the body and the personality. It is yours to be managed. It must not manage you. Right now, it manages you. You are a victim of your own creation. So we need to enhance it, embellish it, and make it useful, and play with it. And then we can play ourselves in the dramas of life. We're talking psychology here, in a sense, but we're coming from a different perspective. We're coming from a perspective of mastering energies, not looking for linear causes as to who created what and mommy and daddy did this to me or whatever happened. It is, here you are, the consequence of that. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. Actually, it's nobody's fault. You chose it. Sorry. You chose this life and you chose all of those conditions. And you are exactly the result of your choices. So we begin to make different choices, but we still have to deal with the consequences of the ones we made before until we clear up the whole thing.